Hello everyone. So in the last lecture we discussed about the slow sand filters and what is filtering all about, what is the theory of filtration. Now today we are going to discuss few topics, and these are the last, I suppose the last lecture for the treatment of water. So in case of slow sand filters, we discussed what are the components of the slow sand filtration tanks, and uh, today we will discussing about the design of slow sand filter. So talking about slow sand filters, as I already told you, we need a large area for slow sand filter for the plantation, or we can say for the implementation of this process. In this case, the area should be more. We need skilled labor. This is the only disadvantage, and the process is very slow. So the number of filters that are required for the treatment of water in case of filtration by slow sand filter, that is given by the following table. In this table, as you can see, if the area is more than 20 meters square, then in that case we take two filters. Number of filters is two, and it relatively increases with the increase in area. Like here, as you can see, is 650 to 1200 meters square. Then in that case, we take five filters. The number of filters is five, but one we take as a standby. Standby is always a backup. Okay, so one is standby. Total units are six, but five are used. Okay, so let's solve a numerical. Here's a question. We have to find out the area of slow sand filter that is required for a town wherein the population is 1500, with an average rate of demand is taken as 160 liter per capita per day. So, firstly, as we did in the previous numericals also, we have to find out the maximum daily demand, which will be the population of the area and the rate of average rate of demand. Okay, so it will come out to be this. Okay, the next thing that we need to do is we will the rate of filtration is not given, so we have to find out the rate of filtration. In that case, we'll assume it to be 150 liter per hour per meter square. Well, this is an assumption, and this is something which is one of the specification of slow sand filters. Okay, the rate of filtration is around 150 liter per hour per day. This is the minimum one. And then we know the rate of filtration. We can find out the filter area. The rate of filtration is assumed. The area is given. Okay, sorry, the filter area is to be found out. So in that case, we will take the area will be equal to the rate of filtration and the maximum daily demand. Okay, which will come out to be 1000 meters square. So this is the filter area, the area that is required for the filtration tanks to set up. Okay, the next thing that is there is, okay, we have taken the area to be 1000. It came out to be 1000 meters square, but in the table only, which I have already shown you. I will again show it to you, and that is this table, wherein, as you can see, when the area is 650 to 1200 meters square, then in that case we take 5 units, wherein one unit is a standby, which means 6 units in total. Okay, so in this case also the area came out to be 1000. Okay, 1000 meters square. So here also we'll take 5 units with one unit as a standby. Okay, so we have again assumed that each unit is around 20 into 10, which is length into breadth. Okay, the area of each unit is given, length into breadth is given. Okay, so we have said that one unit as a standby, and we will provide the total of 6 units, wherein the length into breadth will be 20 into 10 meter. Okay, so this was slow sand filter. and its design, how you design the slow sand filters. Coming to the rapid sand filters, these were first developed in last decade of 19th century, which means it came in 19th century only, which is very old. Okay, so on an average, these filters may yield as high as 30 times than that of slow sand filter. So here, as you can see, is rapid sand filters are used nowadays because they work efficiently. They don't need much area. Okay, so we don't need much labor in that sense also. So it is cost effective. So and the efficiency is much more than the slow sand filters. Okay, the filters have coarser sand with the size of around 0.5 mm. The coarse sand is used for as a filter media, as you all know. Okay, so the water that is coming from the coagulation aided sedimentation tank is being filtered in these filters. Okay, these rapid sand filters are used for filtering that water which is being uh, treated by coagulation aided sedimentation. Okay, so this tank, talking about rapid sand filters, it also consists of the components of these rapid sand filter is same as slow sand filter. Like it contains closure tank, filter media, base material, under drainage system, other appurtenances like I already told you. Other appurtenances consists of the equipments that we need for calculating the level of water above the filter media or overflow, or we can say the amount of water that should be present over there. Okay, the depth of the media, everything needs to be calculated. So we need certain equipments for that. That comes under other appurtenances that we want. So I've already discussed in the previous lecture. You can watch those videos also. Coming to the design, it is being designed as same as slow sand filters. Okay, so again you are given with a city that has a population of 50,000 with an average rate of demand as 160 liter per capita per day. We have to find out the area of rapid sand filter. Okay, also the units or the beds that we require, the units of rapid sand filters. Okay, so as you can see, we can find out the maximum daily demand, which will be the population of the city, which is 50,000, and then the rate of demand, which is 160 liter per capita per day, which means 160 liters are being consumed per capita in a day. So yes, maximum daily demand is there with you. After this, what do you need is we again will assume the rate of filtration, because as it is not given over here, to find out the area we need the rate of filtration. So we have assumed it to be 4,500 liter per hour per meter square. As you can see here, the rate of filtration is more as compared to the slow sand filters. So we came up with 111.11 meter square, which is the area of rapid sand filter. Okay, so now area is with you. Now you have what you have to find out. We have to find out the number of filter beds. So in the previous case, in slow sand filter, we assumed the rate of filtration. We came up with the area. Then we consulted the table. We after that we um gave the number of units. We came up with the number of units that are required. But here also, the first thing that you can do is you can either assume the area of one bed or one unit, and then you can find out the number of units. Then, or you can use the formula, which is n is equal to under root q divided by 4.69. This is the formula that can be used to find out the number of filter beds. Okay, we are using this formula here. The discharge is given as 12 milliliter per day. So, okay, this is million liter, sorry. So, we came up with 500 meter cube per hour. Okay, so the discharge is given to you, Q is given to you. You can find out the number of units using this formula. Okay, which is this. So, it is 5 units. So area of each unit will be, as the total area, we came up with total area, we'll divide it with the number of units we are having. it came out to be 22.22. Okay, so area of each unit is given to you. Then what will we do is, in slow sand filters, we assumed it to be 20 into 10, length into breadth, we assumed length into breadth ratio. But herein what we will do is, we'll assume it to be equal to 1 by 3. L by B is equal to 1 by 3. So, which will be equal to, so we from this equation, the value for L is over here, which is L is equal to 3 times B. Okay, so what will we do is, since this area is equal to length into breadth, right? Area is already given to you, you have found it out, it's 22.22, and L is equal to 3 times B into B. So here the value for B is found out, measured. Okay, so likewise we can find out the value for L. Substituting the value in this equation, you can find out the value for L. So L into B, length into breadth of the bed, is given to you. So we will provide the breadth of around 4.2, which is a round figure, and length of about 5.4, which is again a round figure, and we will provide six such units. Okay, one will be a standby, other five will be in working. So this was the design for rapid sand filters. Moving on. Okay, we are done with filtration part, we are done with sedimentation part, we are done with screening part. Now this is the last and important thing that we need to do, that is disinfection. Okay, so talking about disinfection, when the particles, the suspended ones, the settled, settleable ones, the colloidal ones, they all have been removed off. We are left with microorganisms. We are left with the remaining part. The remaining part is being removed by the process of disinfection. So this is also very important. We can use this process for removing the pathogenic bacteria, which is harmful for health. Okay, so uh, pathogens like protozoa, they are larger in size, so they can be removed in the earlier stages. Earlier stages like filtration, I already told you, filtration, in the process of filtration, we remove the microorganisms to the minimum or to the maximum, we can say, the microorganisms which are larger in size. Microorganisms like protozoa, okay? Then talking about bacteria or viruses, they can be destroyed with the help of the addition of disinfectants. Okay, so this disinfection can be done with two processes, physically or chemically. Talking about the physical process, it may involve boiling, it may involve ultraviolet treatment. Okay, and chemical processes, it involves chlorination, or we can treat water by bromine, iodine, ozone, potassium permanganate, etc. There are a lot of disinfectants that we can use. So these were the processes by which we can go through this. Moving on. So these are the methods of disinfection. As I already told you, that it involves physical process, it involves chemical process, and the most important is in chemical processes chlorination. We always go with it. We always opt for chlorination. Okay. So this process is important. Okay. Moving on. So what happens in chlorination is we add chlorine to water. What it does after that, that is the chlorine immediately reacts with ammonia that may be present in water, and it reacts with it and it forms chloramines. So there is a formation of chloramines which happens in the beginning. So these chloramines are very stable and they remain in water for long duration. So this is one of the things that we need to see. So these what are these chloramines? These are the combined form of chlorine, and these are less effective even if they are stable and remain for a larger period of time in water. But they are less effective, and it's in the form of freely available chlorine. Okay, so, sorry, it is less harmful than the freely available chlorine that may be present in water, but yeah, it's less effective. Okay. The other thing that you need to know is these the dosage of chlorine. Okay, the dosage of chlorine should be, around 0.2 milligram per liter. Okay, so yeah, this is the dosage of chlorine that is sufficient. Okay, so this is
Okay.
known as chlorine demand of water. Okay, so this was the chlorine demand of water. So here we have a graph wherein we will be talking about the phases of chlorination. So we have pre-chlorination, post-chlorination, and the superchlorination, right? So in this, as you can see, is there is the destruction of chlorine. As we go on adding chlorine, at first what happens is chlorine reacts with ammonia. It forms the chloramine, as I already told you. So there is a destruction of chlorine from this point to this point. After this, what happens is there is the formation of chloramines. Okay, or we can say chlorogenic compounds. There is a formation of chloramines over here. So chloramines are being formed. Then what happens is there is the destruction of these chloramines also. So it goes on decreasing. First, what happened was there was destruction of chlorine. After that, what happened was there was formation of chloramines. Then it was the deformation or destruction of these chloramines also. This is the breaking point chlorination over here, wherein there is the destruction of chloramines. Chloramines are being destroyed. Okay, so over here what happens is this is the formation of we can say chlorine compounds that are not destroyed, the remaining chlorine. Okay, that may be present in water or after chlorination, after all the things that are happening in the, or this is all these stages that water goes through. So yes, here is some of the chlorine compounds that are not destroyed at all. Okay, this is the free residual chlorine that is present in water. So this is something that happens in the process of chlorination. Okay, the next thing that we have is water softening. See, water can have hardness. Hardness may be present in water. Okay, it may be due to the presence of carbonates and bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium, and it may be temporary. It may be permanent. Okay, so water softening is preferred when there is a presence of hardness. Okay, so what do we use in as water softeners? We use two chemicals, that is lime, calcium oxide, soda ash, or sodium carbonate. Okay, these are the chemicals that can be used in as water softeners, and these are added to water, wherein the calcium and magnesium, they form the precipitates. Okay, so the solid substance, or we can say the residue that may take place, that may come up due to the formation of precipitates like calcium and magnesium, they are removed. These substances are removed with other particles. In this filtration, or we can say sedimentation, they can be removed. So this softening, water softening, is only meant for the water, for removing the hardness of water. Okay. Okay, coming up with the ion exchange process. This is one of the important processes that we need to know, wherein the charge of water uh, is changed. Okay, to make it anion free, to make it free from anions and cations, both. Okay, so here I will show you one video where it is being explained very okay, I'll be sharing the screen. Is this visible to you? So this is the ion exchange process. Okay, I'll play this one. And this is the resin. Okay, so the anions or cations are attracted by these resins, and these resins, as you can see, they have these are replaced by H positive ions, and due to which the pH of water or pH of the liquid reduces. Okay, so this is what happens over here. So in an anion resin, we have two resins: anion resin and cation resin. The anion resin, wherein we have chlorine and PO4. So these act as anions. Okay, as you can see, and these are replaced by OH negative ions. Here the pH of water increases. Okay. Okay. See, in filtration also, I told you there is one thing called backwashing. Whenever we use filter media for a longer period of time, it may get choked, it may get exhausted. Okay, so in that case, what we do is we go with the cleaning of filter media. Similar is the case with this resin. Anion will be it anion resin, be it a cation resin, we need to clean it up. So we clean this up also. Okay, how it is done, you can see. So when there is no anions or cations present over there, there are no nothing left in there is nothing left in the resins, no charges left in the resin, so we can say the resin is exhausted. Okay, so we need to regenerate it. So for this purpose, what do we do is we make the use of HCl solution, which is used to remove the cations that were present in water that are, in a cation resin. Okay, so we need to remove them. So HCl solution is used for that purpose. And sodium hydroxide solution is used to remove the anions that are bounded to the anion resin. Okay, so this is what happens over there. They are being replaced, and in anion resin, the anions are replaced by OH negative over the time when we go with it. Okay, so this is how once all the cations and the anions are removed from the resin, what happens is it gets regenerated. Okay, the resin gets regenerated again, then we can use it again for this ion exchange process to make water free from anions and cations. So this is what happens in ion exchange process. Okay, let me just share this screen again. Okay, this is just what happens in ion exchange process. Okay, so that was all for today. I hope this was fruitful to you all. If you have any question, you can comment in the comment section, and if you have any suggestions, you can come up with it. Okay, so in the next lecture, I will be starting wastewater treatment processes that we go through, which is secondary and tertiary sedimentation. Okay, second and tertiary treatment processes. This was the primary one. This is also very important in wastewater treatment. So yes, we will be starting that chapter also. We are done with water treatment. So thank you so much. Have a good day.